Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. We've got a packed show today. Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Let's start with the latest on Cam Newton. Cam received heavy criticism yesterday after laughing at a question from a female reporter and saying it was, quote, funny to hear her talk about pass routes. After those comments, Cam was let go by his sponsor, Dan & Yogurt, and his commercials were pulled. Cam issued an apology on Twitter yesterday. Let's take a listen.
After careful thought, I understand that my word choice was extremely degrading and disrespectful to women. And to be honest, that was not my intentions. And if you are a person who took offense to what I said, I sincerely apologize to you. I'm a man who tries to be a positive role model in my community and tries to use my platform to inspire others. And I take ownership to everything that comes with that. And what I did was extremely unacceptable. I'm a father to two beautiful daughters. And at their age, I try to instill in them that they can do and be anything that they want to be. And the fact that during this whole process, I've already lost sponsors and countless fans, I realized that the joke is really on me. And I've learned a valuable lesson from this. And to the young people who see this, I hope that you learn something from this as well. Don't be like me, be better than me. And to the reporters, to the journalists, to the moms, super moms, to the daughters, the sisters, and the women all around the world, I sincerely apologize and hope that you can find the kindness in your heart to forgive me. Thank you.
Shannon, what's your reaction to Cam's apology?
I'm happy that he made it. It seemed like he put a lot of thought in this. This was weighing on him. Skip, it's really hard to know what's in a person's heart and what's in his mind. I can't cut Cam open to see if he's sincere and his heart and his thoughts are pure.
Yep.
Yesterday I said I wish Cam would have just said, ma'am, I'm sorry. You took offense to what I said. I apologize.
You mean when they were face to face?
Yes. When she came, when she talked to him after he made the comments after the press conference was over, she said she engaged Cam afterwards. And,
just the two of them.
Yep. And he didn't apologize. I wish he had said, I'm sorry that I offended you, and that was not my intentions. But I would rather him take his time, put thoughts together, put time in this, and because I believe he was sincere, Skip. I really do. But Cam losing an endorsement over being condescending and dismissive of a female reporter seems like a stretch. It's basically Cam got 3 years in prison for going 15 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Really?
Yes.
That I disagree with, but go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. Had he made that same dismissive comment to a male journalist, does he lose his endorsement?
No, but help me out here, Joy. Dan & Yogurt is purchased mostly by women.
Yeah, I think the whole marketing direction was with the black labels to kind of make it look more masculine and yeah.
But here's the thing though, Skip. I don't believe this is why they dismissed him. I believe they dismissed him because of what he did on Sunday. Because although he did not kneel for the anthem, he did not sit for the anthem, he did raise his fist after he scored that touchdown. And see, it's like you come up on an exit too fast, you miss it, you say, well, I just get the next one. See, that exit came up on Dannon too fast because he gave no indication that he would.
Oh, so you think Dannon dismissed him more for the raised fist than
Of course. All the condescending remarks did was provide cover. Because if you dismiss him because he voiced his First Amendment right, people are going to be looking at you like, well, hold on, wait a minute. I mean, you say, you for equality and gender equality and all this, and now you try to suppress a man's First Amendment right. There's no question in my mind. He was dismissive. He was condescending. But you're telling me that's terminationable? That's ground for termination? Now, I guess theoretically, Fox could dismiss me if I warm up fish in the microwave. But that wouldn't be the reason. There are going to be other underlying reasons that led to this. If Cam had a history of being misogynistic, being sexist, I get it, Skip. I'm all in with him. Yeah, Cam, you had this. This was a long time coming, Cam. Cam has shown no indication of that. And for a one-off, you're saying because he was dismissive of a female reporter asking him, wow, it's funny. It's funny that a female talking about routes. That's grounds for termination?
Yeah, you said the following day that you found it very offensive.
Yes!
Right? And if in fact Cam managed to alienate women everywhere and almost half the NFL fans are female, and I don't know what percentage by Dan and Yogurt of female, it's probably high. I'm going to guess.
Well, I tell you, well, how about this, Skip? I heard a guy on tape talk about grabbing hoo-ha, and he still got 53% of the female vote.
Okay, but that's a whole nother issue to this,
Oh.
because we both agreed that there are probably a whole lot of men out there who agreed with Cam Newton's take, you know, his sort of mindset on
Yeah,
that
and
issue.
I'm sure there are women out there that agree with Cam Newton's take.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You think
There are
so?
some. There are some.
Yeah. Skip,
Okay.
you know.
But again, it's Shannon, it's always the bottom line is the bottom line.
Yeah.
If you threaten somebody's revenue, they're going to cut ties, man.
Yeah, but I don't think I don't think of it as a one-off. Skip, he didn't call her a B. He didn't call
but
out
just
her
remember,
name.
on the protest side, I never associated Cam with that. I mean, obviously, Colin
What-
Kaepernick was the face of the movement.
He is, but let me ask you a question.
Cam never was
what does
a
raise
kneeler,
What
right?
does raise fist mean? When a black man raises his fist, what is that, Skip? Because that was the first time when John Carlos and Tommy Smith did it in '68. The Black Panthers adopted that. Or maybe the Black Panthers started it. But when you see
I got it, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, but that's still very, with the protest.
That was more subtle to me. It was like subtly powerful, but not overtly in your face powerful.
Exactly. But how did
Maybe.
How did they?
I mean, I can't disagree because I don't know.
Yes.
Because maybe nobody really knows.
No,
Yeah.
that is my opinion. But it just seems to me that being dismissive and condescending of a female's question,
Yep.
I don't believe that was a fireable offense. That's just me. Now, if he had a history, if Cam had been doing this all throughout his entire career and it finally caught up with him,
Like it
Skip,
was a third strike.
third,
Yeah,
fourth,
yeah.
I get it. But Skip, let's be real. Let's be all the way real now. Let's keep this 100. You and I both know black men and women and athletes are held to a different standard.
I do not doubt that.
We
I'm with
know,
you.
we know that they're held more accountable for their actions. They're held more accountable for their comments. You and I both know, had Serena Williams got ensnared in what Maria Sharapova, because everybody's saying, how is she more dominant in her 30s than she were in her teens and 20s? There's no way. There's no way. She's winning championships at 3 months pregnant. She's the most dominant female tennis player ever, and she became that in her 30s, when in her 20s and teens, she wasn't nearly as dominant.
Got
We
it.
know that.
Yep.
So what Cam said, I got no problem with Cam apologizing. Cam was absolutely wrong for what he said. But I do not believe, and I believe many people do not believe, this is a fireable offense. They're well within their rights. They have the right to do whatever they want to. They hired him, they have a right to terminate him. But Skip, it's hard for me to believe that this one-off was grounds for termination.
I will say this about the Dannon commercial. The first time I saw it, I was like, Cam's doing a Dannon yogurt commercial? It was like jarring to me because it didn't seem to fit, because I always thought of that product as more consumed by females than males.
Well,
but like to your point, they're trying to market to males.
Right.
But normally when I'm in the grocery store, I see a lot of females putting that in their basket.
Yeah.
The black Cam Newton one?
Well, no, just the yogurt,
Oh,
the yogurt section.
You don't eat yogurt? Oh, you're not on dairy right now.
No,
I do eat yogurt, but go ahead.
I love yogurt.
Yeah, I mean, you're not as healthy as I am. I don't eat it.
Now you're healthy.
I'm healthy.
Now
yeah.
you're healthy.
Whoa. Hold up. Don't you know?
You just made the most outrageous, wrong statement in the history of Undisputed. But let's get back to business. I really liked his delivery of this apology.
Yeah,
We talked yesterday. This is a charismatic young man.
Very.
He's got star power. He can be extremely convincing. So I don't know what's in his heart. I can't open it up and look inside and see. But I was impressed with just the pure delivery of, I don't know if he had a teleprompter, if he had cue cards. It didn't look like it,
No.
because he would kind of glance down and gather his next thought. And it was powerfully, effectively delivered because we've all done things straight, as they say, to camera.
Correct.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard to stay on track. Keep your
Yes.
your thread going. And he went right home and he delivered. So I give you all that. It sounded sincere. Every thought was a really good thought, except the very first thought when it's the classic, if I offended you, well,
You're doing this. You're doing this.
Yeah,
You're doing
yeah,
this.
okay.
So clearly, you know
Right,
you did.
Okay. Now, this is the newest phenomenon to me in all my years in the media business. This is the new media golden rule that's sort of taken shape in the last 10 or so years. And it is, if you apologize, it's okay. Like you can absolve yourself of all sins if you just apologize.
Right.
Oh, then you're off the hook. You're good. No, you're not good.
No.
I'm sorry. I like the apology, but the cynic in me wonders, well, did it take losing Dannon to apologize? Did it take a night of backlash for you to say, your advisors to come to you and say, oh my God, you've created a firestorm here?
That's why I wish he had apologized immediately.
Sure.
Once she came
Right.
to him, he should have apologized.
But clearly, he did not think there was anything to apologize for in the beginning because that was just his sort of mindset. Okay, we get it. It's the mindset of probably a whole lot of players in a lot of locker rooms.
Yes.
But for some reason, because I think he was feeling re-empowered in his weekly media session, on which he had sat on a hot seat for about the last year and a quarter.
Yes.
And he felt good about himself because he should have. He had a big game against Tom Brady up in Foxborough,
Right.
and he was back. That was an MVP style
Yes.
game, and he won the MVP 2 years ago, obviously. And I feel like he was coming across as, I'm back in control here, so I'll take a little aside here.
The Superman Cam was back.
Yeah, he was back. He was doing a little of this. Just a quick aside, I'll drop a little knowledge on you. I'm amused that you would say that you would talk about routes. And it just exploded in a way that he didn't see coming because that was his mindset. He revealed his mindset.
Right.
Okay, fine. So the apology doesn't eliminate that. And I'm going to go to the most severe one was the Riley Cooper one.
Yes.
Okay, Riley Cooper was captured on cell video at a country western concert,
Correct.
screaming the N-word that ends in a hard ER at black security people who had hassled him at this concert. I'll fight all and he made it plural, okay? Now again, what's the old cliche, to err is human, to forgive is divine. I get that. You forgive him, but you can't just wipe the slate
Right.
clean because he apologizes for that. As you said, he said he'd had a couple drinks, but truth serum, right?
Yes.
So you revealed your heart. Cam revealed a part of his heart. Now, what Riley Cooper did was several cuts deeper than what Cam
Absolutely.
did. It's not even close. But I'm just showing you that this is another indication of that new phenomenon because people were telling me, well, at least he apologized for using the N-word publicly?
Right.
Seriously? It doesn't wipe your slate clean.
No.
And it doesn't wipe this slate clean because I think, was he enlightened by this? I don't know. Actions will speak going forward
Correct.
louder than words. But in the end, I don't know whether to buy it or not because I'm skeptical of the timing of it. That's all. If he'd done it that night, maybe,
Yeah.
before Dannon called.
You remember,
Yeah.
Skip, I said yesterday, I thought once his press conference was over and she engaged him one-on-one, ma'am, clearly you were offended by my comments. I apologize. That was not my intentions. She could have, I talked to Cam afterwards. He apologized. All is good. But when she tweeted out, I talked to Cam afterwards, and he didn't apologize, and she made it seem like he seemed cavalier. He was even more dismissive that even though he said what he had said, how dare you come approach me now? So it just kept going. Skip, when you offer an apology, no, you can't undo what's been done. You can't make someone unhear what they've already heard.
Yep.
It's kind of like being in the courtroom. Objection, sustained. The jury's already heard it. So whether they should strike it, you can't make them strike what they've already heard. Cam said what he said. He's offering an apology saying, my bad, I erred. And so please forgive me. I'm not, hey, You don't have to forget it, but just forgive me for my actions and moving forward. I'm going to show you this is not who I am and this won't happen again. But Skip, we've seen athletes do much worse.
No doubt. Got it.
Skip, he was dismissive. I can see if he called her a B. I can see if he called her out of her name. Being dismissive and now, hold on, really, now, Skip, now you know, sometimes, you know, this PC and all that, I believe there are lines that you shouldn't cross. But Skip, it's hard for me to get there. It's hard for me to be here and to get all the way here for dismissive and condescending comments.
Okay, I got you, but just remember, like if we go back to the Donald Sterling comments,
Yes.
those were surreptitiously taped by his girlfriend,
But
right?
what did Donald Sterling have? A history.
He had a history. Good point. But in this case, it wasn't like Cam was caught by a bystander on cell phone video making disparaging remarks about women.
Yes.
It wasn't like an acquaintance of his said for a New York Times story, oh, you wouldn't believe he has no respect for women at all.
Right.
It wasn't like that. He did it to himself.
Yes.
Before the world. You know, he's at his weekly press session. It wasn't even a one-on-one interview. He's doing, I think they said there are 30 reporters in the room.
Yes, it's his
Okay.
normal. The quarterback gets the podium and
Yeah.
one other player. My last couple of years in Denver, it was Greasy, Plummer, and I was the other guy that always spoke
Really?
at the podium. Yes,
That's interesting.
I spoke at the podium. But Skip, I want you to think about this now. I want you to think. A guy lost a multi-million-dollar contract for condescending remarks, being dismissive because of a female in a male-dominated profession in a hyper-masculine sport. He was dismissive, and they thought that was enough. That was an egregious enough act to say, you know what, it warrants termination. Skip, I just have a hard time getting there. I'm not trying to excuse Cam from saying what he said. There's no excuse, and I don't think he offered one. He apologized. I don't believe in mistakes. Like I said, mistakes is leaving your briefcase in the back of your rental car. He misspoke. He should have never said that. Maybe that's in his heart. Maybe that's who he is. Maybe that's what he believed. But Skip, with no prior history of this kind of behavior and to make that leap from a multi-million-dollar endorsement to say, you know what, you were condescending of women. You know what? I don't think it warrants termination. I just can't get there. Joy, maybe you're a female, you're in this profession, you know how hard it is for females to work in this profession, and maybe you can say, you know, Shannon, I don't know, Shannon. I've experienced and a lot of friends of mine that work in this business, but it's hard for me to leap there, Joy.
No, I hate that he lost his endorsement. I don't think that it's fair or necessary for them to pull his endorsement. But going back to the beginning, like Skip said, it's not like this was in some back hallway and she reported it. He said it in front of a room full of people, down barrel to the camera. It's on him, first of all. It's on the Panthers organization for not taking care of it immediately. As soon as they saw the tweet, they should have went to him and said, hey, go and contact her and apologize to her, explain to her that you didn't mean to be condescending, or fix it.
No.
It's
And remember,
fixable.
there was a conflict. The team immediately, what did they do? Tweet
said
that
it was taken care-
that he had regret, and then she tweeted he had no
I
regret.
mean, how many times do people misspeak and offend people? We don't have the playbook for this now. You apologize, but do it in a way that it doesn't become an international story. But the bigger picture is this. And this is a bigger problem, because I agree with you. He should not have lost his endorsement. That is a overreaction that sponsors have to this outrage culture. But if you're bothered by outrage culture, which in some way we all are, we don't like when people get the pitchforks and start marching down the street for someone for saying something wrong. It's very simple. If you say something that offends someone, if I said something that offended you,
Yes. I bring it to your attention.
and I would say, I'm sorry.
Thank
I
you.
didn't mean to offend you. What was it that I said that offended you? You would tell me.
Yes.
I would say, well, I look at it this way, or I see how you feel that way. I won't speak that way anymore.
Yeah.
It's done. It's solved. It's
Right.
really that simple.
could have headed that off
but
at the
nobody
pass.
acts
I
that
would
way
agree.
anymore. It's all more about, I have to be right. I have to mold this story to fit my narrative. It's more important that I say that I'm right and that you agree with me than just apologizing and sincerely having a conversation with another human about what you did wrong.
But this comes across as damage control,
Yeah.
right? Second day damage
Sure, and
control.
I buy his apology. I'm sure he is sorry,
Yeah.
and I don't like that he lost the endorsement. But throughout the entire world, that's the way to solve it. Everyone's complaining about people being PC and oversensitive. It's really easy. If you want people to stop being oversensitive and you want people to stop being so PC, when you do something that offends someone, say you're sorry.
Yes. That's me. Skip, you know, we taped last week on Saturday.
Yep.
And I vented to you, Skip, and I vented to a few other people. I called them. I said, I'm sorry. I said, I just needed someone to vent to.
You were venting because we were having to, quote unquote, work on Saturday.
Work on Saturday afternoon when I had previous
I know,
plans.
I got it.
And I called a few people. I said, I'm sorry. They didn't, the next morning, I woke up, it was that night, I woke up and I apologized to them. And I apologized again when I called them. But when I saw him, I apologized again.
Because you were afraid you're going to lose your cigar.
No, because it was just, you know how I am. And you were the first person. And I told you, I said, Skip, I'm sorry. But I said, I just wanted someone to vent to.
Okay.
Listen, none of us are perfect. None of us have the same experiences as everyone else.
No.
We don't all come from the same place, and sometimes we're ignorant to how other people feel. It's really not that hard. Just be a little bit kind, just a little bit, and it'll all get solved.
My grandma said, boy, say you're sorry, I'm going to cut your ass. I'm sorry, son. I'm
sorry.
So I learned at a very young age, apologize when you do something wrong.
No mercy. Cam Newton issued an apology yesterday after he received heavy criticism for laughing at a question from a female reporter and saying it was, quote, funny to hear her talk about passing routes. The reporter, Panthers writer Jordan Rodriguez, was also criticized when it was revealed that she sent racist tweets in the past, including using the N-word. Yesterday, she tweeted, I apologize for the offensive tweets from my Twitter account from 4 to 5 years ago. There's no excuse for these tweets and the sentiment behind them. I am deeply sorry and apologize. Shannon, did this change your view of the story?
No, it does not. I believe those are two separate issues. Skip, she said she wants to apologize for her tweets and say she offers no excuse, but posts they were 4 to 5 years ago. So in your apology, you are making an excuse that they were 4 or 5 years ago, but I want you to forgive me.
That's fair.
Skip, I believe because they are two separate issues. I believe Cam said what he said, not knowing what she had done in the past. She did this not knowing she would ever be a reporter in the NFL and be a beat writer. Because why would you, if this is what you wanted to be, you said you've always wanted to be in some type of role in football ever since the Oklahoma-Boise State game. Mm-hmm. You wanted to do that. Why would you have this on your timeline? Because that's the great thing about the internet, it's forever. You're going to work in a male-dominated profession, in a hyper-masculine sport, when 70% of the people that you're probably going to interview are African-American, black. Now, what she just did was make her job a lot more difficult than it already was.
Yep.
It's going to be hard-pressed for a black football player to not look at her sideways because you said this. You said this not knowing. So as we said, we think that people will say, well, Cam said what he said, that's what's in his heart. What do you think they're saying about her and what she tweeted? Mm-hmm. And Skip, you hear a lot of people say is that when you're young, especially now, things that you put on your Twitter account, things that you put on Facebook could come back to haunt you because your employer might go through those things. But what we're starting to see, if the employer wants to hire you, he won't comb through your timeline or look at any of your mentions or your Facebook posts. But if they don't want to hire you or they want to get rid of you, all that comes into play. Because you see what Cam said, it cost them sponsors. What she said, she's still gainfully employed. You see what they did there, Skip?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, Cam was wrong for what he said. She was wrong for what she tweeted. The only thing that I hate is that she put it with a caveat. I don't want to make any excuses for what I did, but it was 4 or 5 years ago. Well, if you're not making an excuse, time is unimportant.
Yep.
You said it. You tweeted it. So when you did, if it was 10 years ago, if it was 10 minutes ago, time should have no importance or no place in your apology. If you're sincerely apologizing, you don't even mention the time. I apologize for my insensitive remarks. Mm-hmm. That is not a true reflection or indication who I am as a person.
Yep.
So I apologize to those offended, and I know many were. But don't say 4 or 5 years ago I'm offering an apology for something I did in the past, because you did it.
You did it. So I'm sure that many Cam fans yesterday used this information to, so to speak, kill the messenger. Mm-hmm. And it gets into that area that we see in domestic violence, and this is very different, but this victim shaming sort of motif. And just so we're clear on this, we both agree this is, and I'm sure Joy, I think you're with us on this, these two things are mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
What Cam said and what she tweeted.
Of course,
at
no
age
one believes
20.
that Cam knew this before he
Exactly.
said that.
Right. And again, she didn't initiate the insult. He did it. He started it gratuitously. He just sort of threw it out in a media
That's
session.
correct.
And she was the quote unquote victim of that. And she was victimized, and she stood up for herself and went to him as he came out of the locker room later one-on-one, and she said she did not get any apology from him. So that's where we were until this came out. So just to be clear about this, at age around, she's 25 now, so maybe around age 20, she tweeted about how entertained she was by her father's racist jokes on a long car ride. And that would indicate that she was sort of raised racist. Is that fair to say? Would that indicate that?
Well, clearly her dad felt comfortable talking like that in front of her,
Yeah.
and she felt very comfortable tweeting, but she didn't get into specifics of what he said, but clearly they're both comfortable using that kind of talk around each other.
Okay, and then at age 21-ish, she retweeted an N-word quote. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we know. And it's funny because she said that Cam indicated he didn't even know who she was, didn't know her name. And now a whole lot of Cam fans know her name, and a lot of NFL fans know her name. So it's almost a be careful what you wish for, because all of a sudden you're in the eye of the storm
Right.
because of this, and she may regret some of that. But I still stand by what I've said about Cam, and I'm with you. This will not do her any good in that locker room.
No.
It's going to be difficult for her going
Very.
forward. And obviously, some of those teammates will rush to the defense of their quarterback.
Absolutely.
And so she might have a hard time. She might get shut off by some, right?
Yeah. All the quotes that she get will have to be quotes while they're talking to someone else.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm just speaking for me, I'm going to be looking at you side-eye.
You would be.
I'm going to look at you
I know
side-eye.
you, and you would be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, okay, you felt comfortable enough to tweet this. I mean, normally when people say things like that, and we've all been around people that have said things, and that you would never, ever let somebody else know that came from, let alone my dad. I'm not going to say my dad. Oh, yeah, guess what, man? My dad, man, he be telling these racist jokes, man. I be laughing. You wouldn't dare say that. So clearly.
You wouldn't dare say it to your friends, let alone post it.
Right, right. There are certain things you keep in-house. But for her dad to say that, clearly he was comfortable saying that. This is not the first time. Normally on car rides, you talk about things that you've talked about. Hey, you remember that time you was 13? You remember that time we went to this place? You're reliving all those moments. She felt very comfortable tweeting that out. This is something that she had heard. Skip, I'm looking at her side eye. It's going to become very difficult for her to do her job because you're doing a job that's primarily male dominated. 70% of the players that play in this league are black. A lot of the players that you would have to interview are black. Now they're looking at you after you. Blacks look at people of the opposite race that say that word. They never look at you the same. You can apologize if you had 1,000 tongues. You couldn't apologize enough. That word, when it comes from the opposite race, Skip, it pierces a black person. And I'm going to look at you differently. Although you didn't address it to me, I'm black. So in that actuality, you did address me. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
How hard, Joy? What do you think? Gut feeling?
Oh, I mean, everything you just said is 100% correct. Once you know that that's something that somebody says, and even if they say it in anger, or if they say it flippantly, or if they say it how you put it with the A at the end instead of the hard ER, it doesn't matter. If you're a white person that feels comfortable saying that, you say other things also.
Yeah.
And that's just a safe assumption if you feel that comfortable putting it out there. I think the reason she put the 4 to 5 years in the statement is because she wanted to imply that she has evolved past that. But if we're going to pick apart Cam's apology, we have to pick apart her apology.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, like I always say, it never surprises me when someone turns out to be racist. That's not a big reveal that there are racist people in this country to me. It's disappointing, but the two are separate issues for me. She didn't set him up. She didn't do anything to prompt Cam to say what he said, and he's responsible for that mess. And now she's responsible for this mess. But you know, that's her reputation now.
I just don't like timelines. Skip, when you give me an apology, just say I apologize.
No, there's no excuse. This is your apology.
I apologize for a tweet 4 to 5 years ago. Okay.
Well, the reason she put that in there was to imply that she's not that person anymore. It's like we always say, if you're the same person you were 10 years ago, you've wasted that time.
Yes.
But again, we agree, once you use that word, that's just a word that you use.
Okay, so bigger picture, going forward, how does Cam come out of all this in your eyes?
I think Cam
How does his image come out of this?
I think Cam will be fine. I mean, it's going to take some time. I mean, just with anything, when you say something, you do something, people will look at you differently. Now, some people that were not on Cam bandwagon or like Cam will never get on this train. Some that was in Cam's corner to begin with, they won't flinch. Some that were on the fence, like, okay, the guy made a mistake. He said what he said. We're going to come over. There are other guys that, nah, he shouldn't have said that. They're off here. So you can't please everybody, nor should you attempt to, because here's the thing, what I tell a lot of people, Skip. The moment you start trying to please everybody, you upset the most important person. That's yourself. So don't try to please everybody. You can't, nor should you attempt to. Cam will be just fine. He'll apologize, just go play football, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, he'll be fine. The unfortunate thing is it sort of muddies the water for any lessons that anyone could learn. Because if you were on Cam's side to begin with, this came up, like you said, and then you're just going to
I told you, I knew she had a motive.
Yeah.
Because now everybody's going to think she tried to set Cam up. Because she got like 20,000, 28,000 tweets. Somebody did a lot of digging to find this. Because it wasn't like she posted it, she retweeted it. Do you know how hard that is to go through 20,000 tweets?
No mercy. Patriots held on to beat the Bucs last night, 19-14. The New England defense came into the game last in total defense, and last night they allowed over 400 yards for the 5th straight game, but they held the Bucs to just 14 points. We're joined by FS1 NFL analyst Ray Lewis. Welcome, Ray. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
How encouraged should the Patriots be about their defense?
Encouraged. I think encouraged you won the game. Right? I think when you look at what Doug Martin was able to do against this defense, I mean, he was averaging like 5.7 yards per carry. So when I started looking at the Patriots, what their greatest asset is in their secondary. Because their front seven, they have to figure that out. I mean, I'm talking about from the D-line perspective, I mean, getting off blocks, you just never seen nobody penetrate. You never seen no domination going in the backfield. I'm talking about pressure on Jameis. He missed so many just wide open opportunities last night. It was amazing that, and it was the only thing that bothered me when he said, well, you know, I'm so excited, I don't know what I say to Tom Brady. Well, you better be thinking about going and beat Tom Brady. That's true. Yeah, your mind need to be somewhere else. And he looked like he played like this kid. Even the balls he was throwing, soft throws balls. And I'm saying, go at them. Like, it was so easy, the chemistry that they had first when Jameis went on, Doug Martin came back in, and his spark was everything they needed. A bunch of drop passes last night. But when you talk about 4.5 yards per carry, that's a lot of yards to give up. When you talk about 409 yards total, 229 in the fourth quarter, you got to ask yourself, are we okay because we won this game, or do we have a lot of things to go back and fix? And I think front seven-wise, they have a lot of things to go fix. I think their secondary, if you see the players back there, that's where their greatest assets really are on that back end. Their corners play really, really physical football, very, very smart players. But I watched the Patriots very closely last night, and I think even anytime you have Tom Brady, you think, hey, the world is okay. And it is for them. But when you get into another shootout, when you get into a veteran quarterback, unlike Jameis Winston last night, that's a totally different conversation. If you get the field goal kicker to make any one of those field goals,
You're talking about we got a different game.
You got a totally different ball game.
Or great hold on to the ball.
Oh my gosh, 84.
He dropped the touchdown. If I'm the Patriots, I agree with you, Skip, and I agree with you with everything you said, Shug. They should be discouraged because they're the third team since the merger to start the season with 5 straight games of giving up 400 total yards. The merger goes back to 1970. That's a long time.
That's a long time.
And that a Bill Belichick coach team, defense led by him, has given up 400 total yards in 5 straight games.
Yeah.
And that game was really sloppy. 2 roughing the passer penalties, offsides on 4th and 3. You play the Steelers and give them that type of opportunity. Or you play another, well, you saw what Kansas City did.
Yeah.
Kansas City didn't get any turnovers. And they still hung 42 on you. So this is what you're up against. Jameis was so inaccurate the first 3 quarters.
My goodness.
They should have been, the Bucs should have been up by 10-14, but he wasn't on. And then when he got on, it was a little bit too little, too late.
Yep.
Field goal kicker was terrible. They need to get that addressed. They're the first team to allow 5 straight 300-yard passing days. And that's what they gave up against Jameis Winston. The defense, because of the injury, Suge, I don't know what you think, and Mike Smith is the D coordinator, they just lined up.
That's it.
They walked up to, Tom Brady walked up to,
I've never seen nothing like this in my life, Shay. I've never seen nothing like in my life. For the defense to walk up and every time
play the coverage that you think they're going to be in.
The exact coverage.
Oh, it's 2nd and 8? Oh, they in cover 2. Boom. They in quarter. Tom Brady have to check.
He didn't have to do anything.
Wait, where's Danny Amendola? Oh, there he is. I thought to Danny Amendola.
I'm looking like, dude. I'm like, can y'all disguise anything?
Show something different.
Play that coverage that you want to play, but line up in something.
Remember, they're
something else.
down 4 starters on defense, and they're all good players.
Well, you better coach them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just got to coach them up.
I mean, you're talking about they had 2nd downs in forever. They had 3rd downs in forever.
And they line up in a base coverage. They play cover 2 or Tampa 2, and here they run the deep end cut because they run the Mike Backer out
of that.
and then here come the end cut in behind it. I'm like, dude, everybody does that.
Everybody.
As you guys both know, there's nothing wrong with winning a National Football League game because it's hard
Especially
to win
on the
games.
road.
Okay,
Especially on the
so
road.
you got the W,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it is a very misleading facade of a W because you proved to me little to nothing. The nightmare is still the nightmare. And listen, you made a great point that hadn't gone into my psyche, but you're right. Jameis was in awe of Tom Brady and said, I want to meet him before the game on the field. And the CBS crew said they monitored and it just didn't happen. They didn't cross paths
Right.
because I think Tom Brady's got things on his mind.
Business.
He's on a business trip.
Yeah.
They did meet after the game, according to everybody saw him, but
Yeah, the
after Brady did his
after
media
they win.
session.
Right.
And they had a long good talk according to Jameis, and he said he was just
You
in
see how
awe of
Jameis
that.
looking at him? If you see the picture, he's looking at him like, yeah, Tom Brady will meet you after the game if you survive. Because he's trying to kill you before
He's
and
trying to
during the
kill
game.
you.
Yeah.
Now, if you survive that, I'll talk to you after.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But other than that, I ain't got time for y'all to
Okay.
be talking.
Right.
And so Jameis played in awe for 3 quarters. He played scared, like tight scared. And he was as inaccurate as I've ever seen him. And I
Ever.
know his accuracy will come and go, but
Right.
this was horrendously bad.
Yes.
This was on national TV for everybody to see,
Yeah.
bad. If he had come out hot, which he is highly capable of coming out hot,
Different ball game.
he might have thrown for 500. I'm not exaggerating because he had, after 3 quarters, he had 109 yards passing. In the 4th quarter, when he finally said, heck with this, heck with Tom Brady and all my awe, I'm just going to do this, because he is clutch now. He will come up big in 4th quarters. He threw for 225 in the 4th quarter, which was the 3rd most against a Belichick Patriot team in the 4th quarter. And the other 2 games were garbage games,
Yes.
just garbage games. This was not a garbage time game. This was 16-7 Patriots going to the 4th. And Jameis said, you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm sick of how I'm playing, and this is our house. And if Cameron Brate just hit him right in the numbers, 84. We saw 84 once more. He dropped a bunch of balls.
No,
No,
you need to take that jersey off.
No, he need-
Because he's making myself and Randy Moss and Sterling, he's making a lot of guys look bad. But I tell you what, Skip, moving forward, if I'm a defensive coach, I can go get Tom Brady. They were getting home with
Hey,
4 guys.
With 4 guys.
And this is they came in with 1 sack and the fewest quarterback pressures in the league by far. And they're all over Tom Brady all night.
all over him.
Yeah.
It was
The New
scary.
England's offensive line has to figure something out. Tampa tried to play them. This is the only thing about defense, that when you watch defense from a perspective of playing it so long, and I said this, the lack of communication, it blows my mind how nobody communicates. I mean, it was almost a 2nd down and 17, and we're just talking about a simple receiver coming across and doing a crossing route.
Yeah.
which means the front side got to relate to the back side. He's coming across, which means stay your behind back there and play him when he comes across. But when you start to see how these breakdowns are starting to happen on New England and Tampa's defense, it's 100% about communication. That's why a veteran like Tom Brady, when he sits in those defenses, you notice he's saying, this is way too easy. Yeah. This is way too easy. You got squat corners playing cover 2 squat corner, and you got an out route breaking, and nobody breaks to come in and get the out route. I'm telling you, last night was not good defense and was not good.
Okay, so Devin McCourty was raving after the game about how they fixed this part of it. He said, we came out and we just said, Gilmore, you got Mike Evans. And Malcolm Butler, you got Deshaun. Wherever they go, you got them.
Right.
And it fixed the communication problem, but it didn't seem to be working in the fourth quarter. Because at one point, even Tony Romo was saying, you look up and Mike Evans just running across the, he's just running free, like, throw it to me. And Jameis took a while to find it.
And even if you play in the Tampa 2, you know, okay, who's the clear guy? Well, that's not Gronk. They're not going to throw it to the tight end up the seam on the clear. They got to be bringing the dig in behind that. So guess what? I'm going to carry him to about 15, and then I'm going to make you think, and I'm going to peel back, and I'm going to pick that ball. It's going to hit me right in my chest.
It was one of my favorite routes to pick.
Really?
Because they challenge the middle linebacker when they influence you to run the guy straight up at you. If which he did last night, stay with that guy. That's not his responsibility. His responsibility is to let that drop, that's going to the safety, and just run underneath that. The same end zone, the touchdown route. If you, as a linebacker, if you can count 1, 2, and 3, you can play in the National Football League. So when the receivers are stretched out and you see that little sit route and he sits down, if the backer just runs under that, just count 1, 2, or 3, he's the hero of the ball game.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah,
that's it. If you understand defense, you understand what they're trying to do.
Right.
Hold on. He's trying to get me to leave here. Why you want me to leave here? Oh, you trying to get somebody to come in my back door, aren't you? Nope. I'll peel back.
Absolutely. Man.
Which brings us to Nick Folk misses 2 field goals that win the game from 49 and 31. And once upon a time in Foxborough, you remember a kicker who missed a kick.
Don't do that.
That's a Super Bowl kick, right? And that's why I always say it's so unfair that this little guy trots on the field who has nothing to do with the sport of football, except he kicks this little ball through the goalpost, and he's going to win or lose the game.
It shouldn't even come down to the field goal kicker because Lee Evans had the touchdown in his hand with 20 seconds.
Oh, man.
But it did come down to the field goal kicker, and he choked.
Well, they're busy making coffee.
Yeah, but you fought your guts out for 4 quarters, and all of a sudden, one swing of the leg by a guy who does not play real football, and you're watching the Super Bowl from home.
Well, I was fortunate. I mean, most of my kickers, Elam was a Pro Bowl kicker, Matt Stover was a Pro Bowl kicker. So I really can't, there's not a whole lot to complain about.
Yeah, because they can make them from 75 yards in that building, right?
Yeah,
Elam kicked one from 63.
I had Mr. Automatic like him, Matt Stover, for a very, very long time.
And then you had Tuck.
Yeah, Tuck. So, that's a special weapon from the kicker position.
I mean, so just think about New England. You go from Vinatieri to Gostkowski.
Right.
That's like going from Montana to Steve Young, or from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers.
Well,
that doesn't normally happen.
Right. Well, that kicker went 4 for 4, and the other guy goes 0 for 3.
The Bucs can't get right when it comes to kickers.
The other guy's going home.
He's going home.
No mercy. The Cowboys host the Packers on Sunday in a rematch of their classic playoff game back in January. Eric Dickerson is with us.
Well, classic in one way.
Well, we've been talking about it for a while. So.
Y'all made a comeback, Skip.
Yeah.
Mason Crossbar. Eric, who wins on Sunday?
You know, Joy, this is going to kill me. This hurt me so bad. But I'm going to have to go with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to win this 35-20, and I'm going to tell you why.
35-20?
Yes.
It's a wipeout.
35-20. What's the best game the Cowboys have played this year? The first game of the year.
That's debatable, yeah.
The first game of the year.
First half against the Rams, I'll take that.
No, the best game they played all year was against the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Why did they play well against the New York Giants?
Because Eli was so bad. There was no
Odell. Come on, Skip. You know, they wanted to beat them. They wanted to beat. They wanted revenge. They wanted revenge. They did it twice last year. Okay. The Packers are coming back to Dallas.
They are.
Don't you think the same thing?
Yeah.
They want to beat the Packers. They want to show they can beat the Packers. First of all, the best way to beat the Packers, we think, is what? Keep Aaron Rodgers on the sideline.
Yeah.
What's the best Cowboys defense? Give that ball to Zeke. When he say feed him, let him run it 30 times.
Literally or figuratively?
Both, I guess. Let him run that football about 30 times. Keep Aaron Rodgers on the sideline and wear that defense down. That Packers defense is not that good. Really, who does Aaron Rodgers have? What's his weapons? Thank you. I rest my case.
He's got lots of weapons.
Which ones? Where's his running game at?
I know he's coming off a concussion, but I think he's going to play.
Yeah.
He's really
you think
good.
he's going to play? Oh, what about the running game?
Oh, no, the running game.
Now, he's got cracked ribs.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
But he says he's going to go.
Who, Montgomery?
Yeah.
Yeah. Little Jones. He'll be all right. I mean, because Aaron Rodgers was watching film. He would say he was watching a Denver game, Trevor Siemian.
but
you know, you get good barbecue. Good barbecue. Like,
I still got to go with the Cowboys.
hey, Skip, you don't even, you know, they give you the what? You go. Have you been to a barbecue restaurant lately?
I
Let's
grew
give
up
him
in a
Texas.
barbecue
Give him Texas.
restaurant.
He's from Texas.
Oklahoma. He grew up in a barbecue
what
restaurant.
Well, see, back then, Skip, they didn't give out wet wipes because they didn't have
You
them.
realize for my first 18 years of my life, I ate barbecue every night.
Oh, good.
Every night, not by choice.
Well, you know, Skip, for me, when I'm eating ribs, I don't even open the wet wipes till I'm done. I'm God. That's Aaron Rodgers looking. He's like, Trevor Siemian did that. Jerry Goff did that. Hey, he's like, Jordy, come here. Look at that.
Look at this.
Look at this. They say Cooper Kupp called him a couple of tubs against this team. Aaron Rodgers gonna go for 400. Aaron Rodgers go for 400, 35. See, I got opposite. 35-24 pack. Aaron Rodgers gonna be FedEx Air Player of the Week too. 400.
What you think, Skip? Houdini, what you got?
Houdini. I want to make something clear about how painful this is for me, and I'm not exaggerating this. I despise all things Green Bay Packers. I am old enough to go back to being a Cowboy fan for the Ice Bowl. Do you know what the Ice Bowl was back in 1967? When my Cowboys were forced to play a championship game at Lambeau Field in -40 wind chill, on a day not fit for humans or beasts outside. They were forced to play a whole game, and they just got robbed at the end because it was so icy, nobody could get a grip, and it's a quarterback sneak to win the game over Jerry Kramer by Bart Starr. And I was just a kid, you know, but it just tore me apart. And then I'm definitely, I haven't forgotten what happened at the end of the 2014 season up at Lambeau Field when my Cowboys got robbed again. This was a catch.
They got robbed. And
that was a catch.
That was a robbery.
See?
That was a catch.
There we go.
That was a catch. You know.
And the
That
game,
was a catch.
they would have won that game if, in fact, that was the biggest robbery overturn I've ever seen. Because he caught it, he made a football move, he tries to slam the ball left-handed on the goal line the way everybody else would, a running back would, and you're saying you didn't control it to the, you're kidding
Was
me.
that a bigger overturn than the tuck?
No,
Okay.
I'll give you the talk, but I'm just saying that happened at Lambeau Field. And then those 2 field goals, the luckiest 2 field goals I've ever seen, happened just last year at Jerry World, and it just tore my guts out. I just sat there watching the field goal, and every time I see a replay,
What's the kicker's name?
Mason Crossbar. You know it.
Cross. Stop calling that man out his name.
Seriously, you play golf. When you duck hook a golf ball,
It hit a tree and bounce back sometimes.
It does not bounce
Sometimes
back.
hits a tree and bounce back.
Well, it might hit a tree. Are there any trees in Jerry World? Because that must have hit
Goalpost.
an imaginary tree, an invisible tree. Really? There's no wind in Jerry World, so it somehow blew back inside the upright by the hand of God pushing
You're
it
right.
back
There's
in.
no wind in
Yeah.
Jerry's world. W-I-N for the Cowboys.
And I'm not a big fan of Aaron Rodgers because I think he's the all-time diva quarterback, and he's thin-skinned, and he shows up his receivers too much. And I don't like a lot of things about Aaron Rodgers, but I do respect his talent. And I told this man earlier in this show that new ad for State Farm that we see on TV with Aaron Rodgers joyriding in his truck with his dog, then playing Frisbee on the beach, that's exactly what we're going to see at Jerry World. This is wrong place, wrong time for the Cowboys. You actually think are going to win 35-20. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to throw the all-time party at Jerry World. You were right. I'm going 400, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions against a defense that, once again, it appears will be without their quarterback, their leader, their driving force, Sean Lee. And you can't win without Sean Lee because they're just not good enough. They're not coordinated enough. They're playing too many kids. And they do get David Irving, their best rusher, back. But what shape will he be in after he was suspended for the first 4 games?
Might be in good shape.
Just
Good shape,
keep
like
in mind,
too good a shape?
The Cowboys, they do have pride, and I keep saying, I'll say this again. The best way to beat a top-notch quarterback is keep him on the sideline. Now, we've said over and over that Zeke is the best running back in football. They have the best offensive line. They don't have, their offensive line is not the best right now, but this offensive line can dominate the Packers' defensive line. They can run the football. They can run that ball 30 to 35 times and keep Aaron Rodgers on the sideline.
What evidence do I have of that so far through the first 4 games? Not much.
You know what? Even when they played the Rams, they should have kept giving Zeke the ball. When you carry the ball 21 times, and well, you know, in Denver, it was a little different. That was a good old whooping. The first week, he carried it 20 times to 104.
Okay, but in the second half,
you still got to get that back.
Okay, but there were 3 straight first down carries in the second half. After the first series, it was the second, third, and fourth series of the second half. He goes 0, 2, and 1 yards on first down, and all of a sudden, Dak's up against that defense, and it's 2nd and 8, and then it goes to 3rd and 6, and you know what's going to happen.
But this is not that defense. This is the Packer defense. They've got a bunch of journeymen on that. It's no like wow, this is going to be a.
They do look better than they were last year. I will give you that.
A little bit better. But now, to me, the Packers are not at the real 3-1. Well, they're 3-1 because of one player, Aaron Rodgers. You take Aaron Rodgers away from that team, they're probably 0-3.
Yeah, but seriously, my offensive line, the best in football, has been nothing but offensive the whole year. They have gotten their butts kicked. Like, shockingly, at Denver, that was a mismatch. The second half against your Rams, again, a front 7 with 5 first-round picks.
There you go.
They got their butts kicked by the Rams. So how are they going to dominate the Packers?
How many points did they score against the Rams? Our defense. 30.
Yeah,
30 points.
24
30.
in the first half.
30 points.
But it should have been. But if y'all instead of kicking field goals, y'all got them tubs.
Yeah.
It'd have been 54-30.
But we didn't. That's the thing.
But y'all got that W.
But we didn't.
But you know why? Because you had the ball in the second half 19 minutes to my 11 minutes.
Well, you know, we got a defense and offensive line now.
Okay,
you
got
some
it.
receivers and a young quarterback.
Seattle's going to put you right back in your place.
Why don't you side with ED? Go on over there.
I'm surprised Houdini. I mean, you always give that. Got a little.
I don't have any Houdini.
Come
I've been
on,
honest.
Skip.
I'm always
Go
honest. I
with it.
told you the Rams are going to be a trap game.
You said, but you see a way out of that game too. No, I'm not sure they might. I'm just scared a little bit.
Sometimes I come in here and say, "Watch this," and it happens.
Watch this. The Cowboys. The Cowboys gonna win.
I felt good about them going to Lambeau last year. I felt good about that game. And by the way, Dak badly outplayed, just magnificently outplayed Aaron Rodgers.
I felt better about the Packers going to Jerry's World in the playoffs because they had never been there before. You know what they do.
Did you feel good at 28 all and 31 all?
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers.
I felt the Packers would win that game, but I feel the Cowboys gonna win
in a playoff game. You taking Aaron Rodgers or Dak Prescott?
I'm taking Dak Prescott.
Okay, you
in a
go
playoff
home.
game.
Well, both of y'all go
and it's
early
going to happen
vacation.
again. I hope it happens this year because I will be all on Dak if the rematch happens.
Too bad you're not going to the playoffs.
You're not gonna go with them this game? You're not going.
I am not. In fact, I have no idea what he's going to pick before the show. And I picked exactly the same score he picked. I got 35-24, Aaron Rodgers.
35-20. You hear it here first now. 30.
Yep.
And I'm not a Cowboy lover.
Yeah, you do.
Straight. No, get that straight. I'm
You
not.
kind of got cowboy colors on. You got
Come on,
the
Look at that.
silver.
Look at that
Come
tie.
on, Joy. Come on, Joy.
I bet you got a cowboy helmet. You traded a cowboy helmet.
I got
Pro
my
Bowl
jersey.
deal.
No, I don't have a Cowboy helmet.
'Cause there wasn't nobody
I
going
can't
to-
put that in the house. Can't put that in the house.
Was any Cowboys going to the Pro Bowl when you back in the
Yeah,
80s?
there's some Cowboys.
Oh,
Randy White. I'm dating myself.
You played against Randy went to the Pro Bowl with you?
Yeah, Randy went to the Pro Bowl. I'm dating myself. Golly.
No mercy. The first place Rams host the Seahawks on Sunday in a big NFC West matchup. The Rams offense is currently second in the league in points, and earlier this week, Football Outsiders gave them the best chance to make the playoffs of any team in the NFC. We're joined by FS1 NFL analyst and Rams legend Eric Dickerson.
Oh, now you're so full of yourself. You're all dressed up. And,
Hey, I'm trying to be
coming
like
to
you.
a gala here.
I'm trying to be like you.
Big celebration of the Rams.
Hey,
When
It's
your
like
team has 3 wins this early in the season,
thank you. You know
you
the
dress
deal.
up, you feel good.
You know the
Super Bowl
deal.
party,
Because you
right?
never know what'll happen.
You better tell us what's
Yes, tell us what's going to happen. What is your prediction?
I predict a score of 24-10 Rams. And let me tell you why. First of all, let's go back to last year. The Rams were 3-1 the same time last year. And I said on a radio show, this is not a real 3-1 team. I say, now just wait. The collapse is going to happen because they couldn't score points. They were relying on the defense. And that's all that happened last year.
I'm sure Jeff Fisher loved that.
Hey, and that's why I couldn't go on the sidelines anymore. Right there, right there. So now this year, this team, this is a real 3-1 team. This could be a 4-0 team. I mean, they have a running game.
Yeah.
They have a defense. You know, it's funny when we talked about running backs, we said that Ezekiel Elliott was the best running back in the NFL.
Oh, now you've changed.
No, I just go.
Because your guy's back.
It just goes to show you when you have an offensive line what you can do, and a quarterback. And so it just goes to show how good Todd Gurley really is.
So you're saying running backs are actually overrated, right?
No, they're not they're not underrated or overrated. Yeah. They're part of a football team. So they're just important as any other facet of a team. So I feel like this. I just gotta say, I think the Rams will win this football game. I think that the defense will catch up. I think everybody has questions about the defense, but with Wade Phillips, I have no problem with that. It showed last week against your Cowboys. The second half, what do you do? Shut that offense. Shut
them down.
Shut them down. Yeah. So I got to go with my Rams to win this game 24-10.
Drop, shut them down, open up, shop.
Stop.
I got to score 20-16 Rams. The Rams they're a confident bunch. And the one thing that we've seen, even when they weren't a very good team, they could keep Jeff Fisher's job for another year by beating Seattle. And they helped him keep his job a lot longer than maybe he should, because they might be 3-13, they might finish 2-14, but one of those 3 or 2 wins was going to come against Seattle. The one thing that we do know, if you want to be who you think you are, make a statement against Seattle. Now, Seattle still got that poor offensive line. You do not want to have a poor offensive line going up against that team, coached by Wade Phillips. Aaron Donald and Brockers and Robert Quinn. Now, if he think he had problems against Green Bay's defense, he about to have some real problems. When I watch the Rams now, they look like a team to me that has confidence, Skip, and they expect to win.
Exactly.
That's a whole different ball game. I've been on teams where, man, if this goes right and the defense can hold them to 5 points and if a bird fly on the flagpole and they play the national anthem at exactly 2:01, we going to win this game. The Rams, hey, throw it out there. Oh, we got this. That's what they did in Dallas last week. We got this. So they're playing a confident bunch. Todd Gurley running. Jared Goff is showing you why they moved up in the draft to select them #1 overall. He's also showing you why he was the best quarterback in the 2016 draft, contrary to popular belief. So with that being said,
he's writing notes. He's writing notes.
The Los Angeles Rams 20, the Seahawks 16.
Joy Taylor, I want to remind you, I just wrote this down. He just said, we got this. And the we is now the Rams got this.
I know, it's hard to keep track of what team he's
Guess who the Rams are playing this Sunday in Los Angeles?
Isn't it his Super Bowl pick?
It's a Super Bowl team. He picked Seattle to win the Super Bowl, to beat New England in the Super Bowl.
I didn't say they were going to go undefeated.
You're literally off the bandwagon against little brother Rams in the division?
See,
really?
I love how you...
What?
First of all,
This is shocking.
I love how you enjoy trying to do this. Well,
I didn't try to do anything with Joy. I just wanted a reminder for the record. He just said we about the Rams.
I heard him.
I'm not saying Seattle was going to go undefeated. I didn't say they're going to be 14-2.
This is it, man. This is the division.
So it's not over even yet.
So you can't
lose one game?
You can't. Hold on. I just want to know this. You can't win the Super Bowl as a wild card? So you got to be the division winner?
Does this game not have psychological magnitude to it? Is this not a tone setter for the rest of the year within that division?
They hold serve at home. That's all they would have done.
I say they beat them last year at home.
Yeah.
With a bad offense.
Thank you for bringing that up, because there's this phenomenon that operates. I've been watching it now for the last 40 years in the sports media business. Whenever the world starts saying, oh, this team has arrived and that team has no chance, you better watch out, because that team that used to be that team, it still thinks it's that team. So again, Jeff Fisher had a whole lot of success against the Seattle Seahawks when he coached the Rams. In fact, he was 5-5, and he would rise up for really often for the big upsets.
Yes.
Why was that? Because Seattle never took Jeff Fisher's team seriously enough, because they were just that bad team down there somewhere.
St. Louis.
In St. Louis or in the Coliseum, where it's not even their home away from home. And now, all of a sudden, Big Brother, which is still the Seattle Seahawks, is going to come in and say, and you grew up in a household like this, your big brother, when you started to get a little athletic and start to get a little muscle on you, you're playing one-on-one in the backyard or wherever, He finally said, I'm going to put a stop to this, and you wind up throwing the ball out in the woods because you're so mad because Big Brother beat up on you. And I said the Rams are going to be throwing the ball out in the woods after this game because they're going to get beat up by this team that's going to put them back in their place. I love this team. I told you all last week, this team is on the verge. It is loaded on both sides of the ball with weapons and studs on defense. But all of a sudden, if you watched on, was it Sunday night, Seattle found itself on offense, albeit against the Indianapolis Colts, who I think they're not that bad on defense. And all of a sudden, did you see what happened in the second half of that game?
Yes.
It was 36-3. Seattle scored 36 second-half points, and that little J.D. McKissick came out of nowhere. He's just like a little lightning bolt. And I think they have a new weapon. And all of a sudden, they're running it, they're throwing it, and I think they found themselves on offense. They were protecting. They got Russell Wilson going. They got him moving. 337 total yards just in the second half. You don't think they're going to bring some momentum to the Coliseum on Sunday? I don't know if you're going to be there.
I'll be there. I'll be there. I'm on the sidelines.
All right. Well, you might want to leave
I'll
on the sideline.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
This is the chance for Seattle to say no. We still control this division, and I think they're going to say no.
Can I ask you a question? Let me ask you.
Go ahead,
I just want to ask you one question.
I got to get at him.
What Indianapolis Colts defensive player would you take over anybody on the Rams defense?
Boy, you beat me to it.
I would take that Ohio State safety.
A hooker?
Malik Hooker, yep. He's a stud. And he played big on Sunday. In the first half, it was a game, man.
Look at that D-line. They got 7 number 1 picks, first-round draft picks, and they front 7.
Yeah, but I used to think Seattle was just pathetic on offense, like they couldn't score on anybody.
Well, no.
And they scored 36 second-half points?
It's mighty funny when the Rams beat the Colts, it was like, well, they didn't beat nobody. But now when the Seahawks beat the Colts.
That was the first game.
It still make a difference. Yeah. It's still NFL. It's still NFL. When the Rams beat the Colts.
They play different.
They play
but nobody
different.
knows. You're just kind of like.
What about when they beat the Cowboys?
Who?
The Rams.
You talking about who? The Rams.
I told you going into the game, I was scared to death of the game.
Skip, you like Houdini. You always give yourself some wiggle room out. You always give it like a poof, like a magic wand.
I say it before it happens. I told you the Rams are too good. I was scared to death of that game.
This is the best defense the Rams are going against. But we have a different offensive line. And one thing is that our defensive line has always dominated the Seahawks' offensive line.
And
who is Russell Wilson going to hand it off to? Give me the backs.
Carson broke his leg.
Thank you.
Thomas Rawls.
Who's he on?
Thomas Rawls.
Wow, we scared of Thomas Rawls.
What about Eddie Lacy?
He's still there, but I don't even count him.
He's probably overweight.
I mean, the ED said it.
I just told you, watch out for J.D. McKissick.
All that
Watch out.
I'm just trying to figure out.
Watch out for, and Aaron Donald is in football shape. He's in football shape.
All that fish up in Seattle.
The Dallas Cowboys saw that last week.
All those scallops and cream and crab legs up there, and he eating steak.
Do you have your jersey on underneath that?
I'm gonna wear it for you. I'm gonna wear it for you again. And I'm gonna make you wear the goggles the whole time. See if you can see what you're writing next time.
In the end, I think it's going to be close, low scoring, but I got the flip almost of your same prediction. I got 2017 instead of Rams. I got Richard Sherman. He's going to have a big day. That defense is going to have a big day against young Jared Goff because he's still young, and they will have him for lunch.
That is an older defense. That defense is in the late 20s now. You know, it's funny how they did get disrespect. Even in Vegas, you know, the home team gets 3 points. They call it you pick 'em. This is the most disrespected team right now in the NFL. But and you know why they're gonna win this game too? They're going back to the old jersey.
They're going
back to the old jersey. For this game.
They're going back to the blue and gold.
They're going back to the blue and gold. The real Ram colors. And we're gonna win in those colors.
I'll see on Sunday. I'll look up, and Eric Dickerson will have come into the game to spell Todd Gurley for a couple plays.
He might be on the sideline.
You want to play?
No, I don't want to play.
He might be on the sideline with his jersey, though.
Yeah, you should wear that.
I might get my Jerry curl back, too.
No, you can forget those days.
No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back at the same time on Monday morning, 9:30 Eastern. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.